Insurance companies are pulling out, withdrawing, canceling, increasing their rates to some crazy numbers, all sorts of things. And it's causing an affordability issue in real estate. We certainly don't want to see a rash of foreclosures because homeowners insurance is too expensive.
And we walk a tightrope because nobody wants government involvement until they get a drastic decision by a private business.
Welcome back to Nevada Realtors Today, your place for timely updates on the news and trends that matter to realtors in the Silver State. Now let's join your Nevada Realtors President, Brandon Roberts, and Nevada Realtors CEO, Tiffany Banks, for today's episode of Nevada Realtors Today.
Welcome to Nevada Realtors Today podcast takeover. I'm Azim Jessa, and I think my co-host Chris Bishop, who was supposed to be here, is quiet quitting. He hasn't been here for the last two episodes. So we had to go to the farm, go down to the AAA, and we got Keith Lynham.
Actually, the retired pool. You had to bring it in from the old man from the winter. Yeah.
Actually, Keith's in the Hall of Fame, folks. I actually got an email today stating that Keith has been bumped up to the $50,000 RPAC Hall of Fame. So thank you very much, Keith, for investing your hard-earned money into supporting realtors and our industry.
Thank you. As I mentioned today, I went back and looked. It's almost 20 years to the day that I made my first contribution to RPAC. We had a make or pay pledge thing going on, and that was really the start of LVR's prominence across the nation for RPAC.
That's wild. I can't imagine that being like, hey guys, I'm gonna raise, I'll just make up a number here, $10,000, and if I don't raise 10 grand from my coworkers, friends, other realtors, I'm gonna pay the difference. So and that's what you guys did back in the day, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to go back in the Wayback Machine, but when we first began with this program, LVR would raise about $70,000.
Wow,
crazy! We got up to almost $1 million one year, back through the boom. But that's where we started.
That's just from the efforts of realtors. That's contributions from the realtors to support private property rights and support our industry. So again, thanks for hitting that next level Hall of Fame. I know there's quite a few Hall of Fame members in Vegas. They have a special pin. Can you kind of show yours? I think I see it there.
I can,
yeah. It says Hall of Fame on there. So
you get a little star. You get another extra star. The stars are expensive.
It's an expensive piece of
and yet they're not.
Awesome. Well, here we are. We are just over a third of the way through our legislative session for 2025. There's, as of last week, and I didn't count them up this week, but as of last week, we had 64 bills that we were monitoring. And there's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, there's about 10 more we've added this week. So we have quite a few bills. So our legislative team, our management team is on top of it. I'm reading a lot. I thank you again to our lobbying team, Jenny and Rocky, to our GAD, Jamie up at the NVR for putting in the hours. We're grateful for you guys. So what do we want to start on, Keith?
That's a great lead in. I mean, the team that we've got, talk about going way back and where we are now is, the team we've got is the best. There were days where we couldn't get the attention of a fly in that building. And now we not only command attention, but they seek us. Mm-hmm. And as well as anyone, just being up there, the differences of them welcoming us to the meetings, welcoming us to their offices. That's a huge swing. And what that means for our members is it's not influence, but it protects our consumers.
Yeah. And you're right. They are seeking us out. We're recording this at noon today. About 15 minutes ago, I got a text message from a legislator saying, hey, I need you to testify on a bill that's going to committee today. And, that's 4 hours from now, right? Like, obviously, I can't get to Carson City in 4 hours from Vegas. But, they want us to testify on behalf of bills on stuff that is good for our industry and good for our clients. So this is a bill specific to the property tax abatement. So in Nevada, we have a 3% cap if you're maybe abatement's not the right word, 3% cap on property tax increases if you were an owner occupant, and an 8% increase if you're a non-owner occupant or commercial property. And there's been some challenges, right? Like if you're a realtor, you've got calls from clients saying, hey, I'm getting charged the wrong property tax amount, or the cap's at the wrong amount. And there's no going backwards. There's no activating, if you will. You're not getting reimbursed if you overpaid taxes, if you will. And so this is a bill that would change that to at it when you sign a title, that you would sign a form that says I am an owner occupant or I'm not an owner occupant, and that would go to the county assessors, and they would record that properly and ensure that your taxes are being paid at the correct level, not at an investor level if you're an owner occupant.
Well, and I do but I do think it's important to explain that it truly is an abatement, and an abatement is, let's just say that your raise would have been $1,000, but your cap is 800, just because we're both simple math people. So, that's $200. See how quick I did that? That doesn't go away. That's not cap. That's put into an account, an abatement account, so that when the next year, let's say, it goes to 600, well, they tack that $200 back on. So
right.
People need to realize that that's what's
still owe those
going
taxes.
on.
Those taxes don't go away. They just don't shoot up as quickly as appreciation has in some of the years. And that's fair, right? I mean, the counties, the cities, they pay for services, right? We have hospitals, roads, schools, all that stuff. They need the money for that. And eventually you'll get to sort of a break even when the market stabilizes, which I think it has in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Look at property value increases.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't disagree with that. But then let's not have the counties. And that's why I think it's important that we make sure that everybody understands, because then the counties and the local municipalities come back and say, well, property taxes are being lowered, so we need to raise property taxes. Well, no, you don't, because you got this abatement and thing. They forget about it.
we all have selective memory at sometimes.
Right? What? Who are you?
Another interesting bill that came across our desk today, AB 437. That's regarding a FAIR plan. So similar to California's secondary fire insurance, right? We've all just saw what happened in the LA area. We know there's been lots of fire problems in the last couple of years all around, the western states here, including, parts of Nevada. Reno had that big fire last year, if I remember correctly, if it was last year. So insurance companies are pulling out, withdrawing, canceling, increasing their rates to some crazy numbers, all sorts of things. And it's causing an affordability issue in real estate. And we're concerned that, right, as those of you who own a home and know, right, you signed a form and you've been told numerous times, if you don't have insurance on your home, we will add insurance, right? And the mortgage carrier's insurance is always very expensive. And if you don't have insurance, they have the right to foreclose on you. And we certainly don't want to see a rash of foreclosures because homeowners insurance is too expensive. So this bill was introduced. We'll see where it goes. There's been some good things in California. There's been some bad things. So we're going to work with the bill sponsor and work with our lobbying team and see what happens and where it goes. But we do need some support in Northern Nevada. There are places right now that there's no insurance companies at all providing any sort of homeowners insurance. And that's obviously a very bad thing for those homeowners. For us as an industry, you can't sell homes without insurance. So we want to make sure that our people are protected.
Yeah, and we walk a tightrope because nobody wants government involvement until they get a drastic decision by a private business. Right? Everybody's screaming, we don't need government involved, until their insurance company cancels their insurance. Then they're screaming, well, we need protection by the government. I get that. I understand that. And so, yeah, we do. And it makes me nervous when I start to see all these things. But the flip side of that, that's a real problem. That we have. And Tahoe and in Northern Nevada, and certainly with the fires up there, that's a disaster waiting to happen with their insurance. So we need to be protected. But we also need to recognize, the old quote that was thrown at me today by Ronald Reagan, it's, that's fine until, your local insurance company decides to cancel you and you're out.
Right. What's the quote there? I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Right.
I said, there's no bigger Ronnie Reagan fan than me. When Ronnie Reagan shows back up and says that live, then I'll go back on the bandwagon with old Ronnie.
I don't know. My favorite Ronald Reagan quote is, ketchup is a vegetable because it's made out of tomatoes. And I'm paraphrasing a bit. And I personally keep Heinz in business. If you guys know me, if there's an opportunity to have ketchup with something, I generally will try. So,
but mine was a tomato is not a vegetable. It's a fruit. Wisdom is knowing the difference and not putting it in your fruit salad. That was a Reagan veil too. So,
all right. Well, now that we've lost half our viewership, there was only 4 to start with. They were down to 2.
Yeah, we increased to a couple of Ronnie Reagan fans.
The algorithm. All right. Another interesting bill that came across today, SB 391. That was put forward by Senator Dina Neal, limiting the amount corporations can purchase, number of homes corporations can purchase to 100 per year. There's some good, interesting debate on this one, and we're not going to fall one side or the other on this podcast because we're going to be neutral on this, but or at least on this podcast. But it's a bill that we don't generally want to prevent people from being able to buy homes. We understand, right, the concerns that it is becoming difficult to find homes. We don't want to become a nation or a town of renters, but we also don't want to be a place where we're starting to restrict who can buy homes and why, because that becomes a slippery slope as well.
I 1,000% understand both sides of this.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the cutting edge has always been private property rights. Let's protect them, and let's protect the consumer. That's it.
Yeah.
Protect Nevada homeowners and Nevada consumers and the private property rights. But I understand both sides of it. It's not that I'm obtuse. I'm just, I get it. But we also need to recognize that there's something going on that we can't help consumers.
Right. Yeah. And I know at the federal level, the National Association of Realtors Federal Taxation Committee put forth a proposal to eliminate capital gains taxes from corporations that sell to owner occupants. So, we're really working at different levels, trying to get homes back in the hands of homeowners. We really don't want to try to use the stick because, again, like I said, that's a slippery slope. But if we can incentivize folks that, to sell back to homeowners and get those homes back in the hands of Nevada residents, that would be a win for everyone. But,
Amen.
Itself in its manner is probably not the solution just the way it's written, but we do want to work on this. We do want to find a solution to this. We understand, it's homeownership's the number one way to wealth, right? It's the fastest way and the most efficient way for people to gain wealth in their lifetime. And we want that opportunity to be available for everyone. And I
said earlier today, do we want to be a community of renters or do we want to be a community of homeowners? Yeah, I'm on the side of being a community of homeowners.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, there's my dog. Say hi.
And your dog agrees with me.
But yeah, a lot of these corporations have bought, right? They bought the lower price home.
Did you notice that he was running away when you talked, but he came back when I started talking? So I'm just saying, I'm just throwing that out.
He heard a weird voice and he was going to check around the gate, make sure, protect the house. These corporations have bought, all right, a lot of homes that are in, below the median home price. And we want to, those are the folks that we really want to also support and give them the same opportunity that people who are buying homes above the median home price can buy. So,
yeah.
All right, one more we'll touch on. Let's see here. Oh, this is kind of an interesting one. So SB 402, that is put forward by Senator Flores, Watson, DeLong, and it's about creating an improvement district for homes that are 50 years old or greater, that they can use a portion of the property taxes on those buildings to revitalize those buildings. So what are your thoughts on that, Keith?
I think anytime you can revitalize a neighborhood, particularly 50 years and older, I don't know how many of those exist in Southern Nevada, but I'm all in favor of it. Property taxes are interesting. They're complicated here to figure out. Well, so isn't building a Swiss watch, but I know it works. I know what time it is. I don't need to know how to build it. That's the same way with property taxes in Nevada. They may be complicated, but they're low. And so let's stop trying to figure out how to mess with them, and let's encourage people. Right. So I'm in favor of this. Yeah.
Yeah.
By and large.
You're 50, right? So we could use some of your income taxes to maybe get you a daddy makeover. Like,
if anybody wants to revitalize me, they get a tax abatement free. How's that? I'm in favor of it.
So, and an interesting side note on that bill is that we are the only state in the country that has a depreciation on our property taxes. So after 50 years, taxes are at and again, complicated like a Swiss watch, but essentially taxes are at the lowest point they'll ever be at 50 years, and they can pretty much never go up except as the property value increases. But
yeah,
and it's a quirky thing. I'm not going to get into it. It's just messy. But by revitalizing those homes, you reset that property tax depreciation back to zero, and you can now tax that property at its full value instead of a depreciated value.
And I would much rather see that. I know there's great debate on removing the depreciation, and sometimes the road to being right is a lonely path. And so I'm okay with being the only state that depreciates, but I'm okay with that. That's an option the homeowner has to return their property tax depreciation level. So
right. Yeah, awesome. Well, I think that's all we got for you today, guys. As always, if something you read about something, you hear about something, please reach out to me at azim@jessagroup.com or any member of the Nevada Realtor executive team. We can get that information over to us and the powers that be if there's a bill or something that's real estate related. Keep in mind, guys, right? We are a real estate related association. We don't venture into things outside of real estate. So don't come to me about your potholes in your road. Like, I'm not Mayor Pete on Twitter with you, but certainly if you have a real estate related issue, let me know about it. And thanks for your time. And
just let me say, Azim, you're doing a great job. You're very active on this stuff. You're doing a great job, and I'm proud of you. And thanks. And if anybody needs any help, it's azim@jessagroup.com. Feel free to contact him 24/7. How's that? Doing a great job, Azim.
My phone number out, Keith. So.
Thank you.
Awesome. And we'll see you next week with another takeover of the legislative weekly recap for Nevada Realtors today. And Brandon or Tiffany haven't jumped on yet, so I guess we're doing okay. They haven't been too upset with what we've been doing, but the night is young.
I'm sure we'll hear later.
All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.